I find it beautiful in the Gospel of Mark. There is a character that Jesus meets who had two disabilities. He was deaf and dumb. This man had difficulty hearing and also had difficulty speaking. It is practically a consequence. Is not this deficiency? One complements the other. In this case here, I find it interesting in the way Jesus interferes in this man's life. Let's see here. Jesus left the region of Tyre again and passed through Sidon and continued to the Sea of Galilee. Crossing the Decapolis region, they brought him a man who was deaf and dumb man and could hardly speak. They asked him to lay his hand on it, taking it apart away from the crowd. Jesus put his fingers in her ears, spit with saliva, and touched her tongue. Looking at the sky, sighed and said, "If fatal, what does it mean? Open up immediately." The man's ears opened, his tongue loosened, and he began to speak correctly. Jesus told them not to tell anyone what had happened. The more he insisted, the more he was advertised, full of admiration. They said, "Everything he has done well makes the deaf hear and the dumb speak." I also need to be healed in my ability to listen. Often I listen, but I do not hear. I need to have the sensitivity to feel with the other. It may be that today I also live the same limit as me. You also notice this limit in you can't always get involved with what the other is saying there. And so you don't take it seriously. Many transformations don't happen in your life. You have ceased to contribute to family functioning. Why? Don't you make a point of listening to what others are saying? You only listen but don't hear. And sometimes your marriage, your family relationship, your affiliation, your motherhood, your fatherhood, your brotherhood, your friendship could be so much better if I have the courage to find the scales fall from my ear. And also, if healed in the manner of speaking, I may have thought that you have hurt many others when you said it may be that your speech is too arrogant. Your speech is too full of reason. You gain nothing from it. On the contrary, sometimes you lose the trust of the other. It is very difficult to believe an arrogant person. When we are arrogant, we lose our authority. We have lost our ability to communicate. Nobody likes to hear an arrogant person. We are quite right. But we are then arrogant when we say we reiterate all the authority. We are saying, alas, it seems a lie, what we talk about. But our working relationships, we gain nothing by arrogance. Now we win with the word counselor, with the loving word, with the word that shows interest. There are solutions with the word wanted. It shows the desire to forward the best to that person. And why do we insist on a format that does not help solve? Why did I insist on a way said people who do not contribute anything in the media that we frequent, that we are, let the arrogance of the word fall to the ground. Let's learn, or it's more loving woods. I say again, there's a way to say heavy things series. Gravis took a light way, give a loving. We gain a lot of trust from each other when we give up of our arrogance. It is true leadership. The leader is the one who is able to convince others of the good that he proposes in a light way and in a harsh way. And it is very good for us to be liberated as a person so that it reminds us of God in them who are able to propose challenges, but lightly. That's why I'm fascinated by the word of Jesus that keeps motivating us. Very difficult things because we have not changed a comma of what Jesus proposed to us. The word of the gospel is still hard. It remains very difficult, the proposal that made us. The more he did, and a way so morose, so loving, so pious, that even today we still believe that this proposal only does us good, as the gospel of today says. Jesus spent doing good. That's all he did. Right? When he heard and when he spoke, we want the same thing. We wanted to have heart just like him. Let's do it the same way, because we're going to do so much good to those who passed us by, or because we hear it right, or because we say it right. The salvation of the other often passes through our ability to listen and our ability to speak. And our salvation also does not come when someone hurt us in a certain way, when someone spoke to us with poetry. In the words, it's interesting because we're in an era, in a time where we are too unwilling to listen. We want to give reason to what we say without identifying what we hear. We talk a lot and listen little, and because we listen little, we lose opportunity to forward solutions or even to correct some edges between us. When we lose the ability to listen to each other, when we lose the mood from listening to each other, we greatly compromise our relationships. Many of the conflicts that we face at home and that we say we learn from listening. And when I say listen to my agent and create the ambiance, the ambition to say what needs to be said, because sometimes we tell you more in the wrong way. We shout out what should be said with patience, with tranquility, with consideration. And that's why we don't solve the issues. And it's interesting because when I don't know, I provoke in another naturally provocation, an indisposition for me to listen to. When Jesus gave man back this ability to hear, he is developing it to people. This is very interesting and to indicate to what I squeezed. And that made it difficult for me to be with others, to have qualified relations. When I say qualified relationships, I mean relationships that do us good, relationships that make us grow, because salvation does not come by ear, knew that the word that transforms us. And God does not save through words from the well-meaning people who love you. But if we don't listen to these people, how will I enjoy the benefit salvation who comes through the word of other? It's so good. It's not like you start talking to someone that even though, you have some flaws, I start talking about your qualities. Have you ever experienced the therapeutic power of a motivational word? Power of a motivational word. Power